Notice of the meeting to be held by the Belmar Board of Education on Thursday, August 25th, 2022 at 7 p.m. has been provided in accordance with the requirements of Chapter 231. Oh my God, I can't have my glasses. I should know this chapter. 231 Public Laws 1975. Notice the meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the principal's office at Belmar Elementary School, 1101 Main Street, Belmar, New Jersey, on January 18th, 2022. Notice of the meeting was transmitted to the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, the municipal clerk of the Borough of Belmar, and the Lake Como School District on January 18th, 2022. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have the roll call, please?
Sherry Adams.
Here.
Antoinette Almack.
Here.
Kimberly Check.
Here.
Brian Conklin. Aileen Fay. Rebecca Herbert.
Here.
Michelle Lomas. Jennifer Nicolay.
Here.
Robert Preston.
Here.
And Michelle Cortez.
Here. Okay. We're having the comments first, right?
Yep.
Yeah. At this time, we'll entertain any comments from the public on any agenda items. There is a second public comment period for general statements, but does anyone from the public wish to be heard on agenda items? No? Then we will move on to a presentation that we have concerning the roof project by Jim Collins of the Garland.
Yeah, so we had a facility meeting. So me and Mr. Marsh were talking about our roof condition, and so we wanted to bring in a manufacturer that they build the materials or the materials that we're looking at trying to go onto the roof. So Jim is here to just give us a presentation of the condition of our roof and also what our options might be with the materials. Yeah,
It's
we're looking at.
It's not gonna be that much of a presentation.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but.
Can I use the table, do you mind? Right here?
Whatever.
I just wanna put a couple things down.
Sure.
So if you, I don't know if you guys have a copy of this?
Yes.
It's probably easiest that you pull that up. So we're gonna look at page, let's see what page this is. Page 5. So you guys may be familiar with your school here. So what we looked at here is in F, this side and this side of F, that section, it's a low slope single ply roof system. It's very old. It's probably around 20 years old. Like it is out of warranty, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then in the center here is a very similar type of roof, single ply. It's called a TPO roof. So these areas here, the recommendation here is actually to keep them in place. Underneath the roof system, there's insulation, and you know, if you do a roof scan, the insulation's not wet. You can utilize that insulation moving forward with full roof restoration. And the recommendation is a base coat, a polyester fabric, and then a top coat. So it's a bright white coating, and there's a 20-year warranty. And as far as the installation of it, it's not very invasive. You're not tearing it off to the roof deck. So it's a much faster process and much more cost effective. So I think that makes a lot of sense in the center here, but moving around the outside perimeter, which is the majority of the school, you guys may know that it's an aging shingle. I don't know, I think there's two different vintages of it, 2 different years. I'm pretty sure there are.
I'm pretty sure.
And you're having a lot of leaks, lots of problems. And the recommendation really in this area, because you're so close to the coast and you have a lot of problems with wind, high wind areas, storms, is actually to consider a standing seam roof. A standing seam roof can withstand winds up to 130 miles an hour, even more depending on how it's designed. And it's more of a 60-year solution than a shingle that may last in these conditions 18, 20 years. So that is the recommendation for right here. It's a long-term solution for sure. And this is what it looks like. And again, as a technical representative, I just want to kind of explain what it looks like and why it's being recommended. So this is it's a standing seam panel. It's usually 12, 16, or 18 inches wide. And then you'll see another seam here. So it's got a really a classic look to it. And with this, in this case, this is a, it's an old, 040 aluminum panel, so it does not rust, and it's also installed with a base sheet underneath it. So it's almost like belts and suspenders versus a shingle that can blow off in just a little bit of wind or storm, so.
Which it's happened to us a couple times.
Yeah, so that's the whole idea, and, I do
This
have.
is like a metal roof solution that, once installed, should give us incredible longevity.
Yeah, so you're looking at a 30-year warranty from the manufacturer, and that's a leak-free warranty. And also, that's if there's any wind occasions and any of the panels blow off, they're repaired at no cost. That's part of the warranty. So where a shingle, you're gonna have, they call it lifetime warranty. You're gonna have a very hard time getting the shingle manufacturer to do any repairs. It usually goes back to the installing contractor.
Is it a shingle that's on there right now?
Yeah.
Yep. On the perimeter, on the outside.
On the outside?
Yeah, so not the flat part.
Right.
Just around here is all shingle.
But
So
that
it-
is the area, is that the area that's mainly over classrooms?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so generally the area like where the F is
Mm-hmm.
mostly like over the auditorium and the gym.
Okay,
And on Monday when we had that rainstorm, we did get water in the gym.
okay.
So, I mean, we know that the roof is not really, it needs to be done pretty soon. So,
And then
This
on
is
the
what we're
corners of the
prepared for,
building, we're
you know.
getting water penetrating into the corners and some spots where, shingles are just, it happens. If
Sure.
if you have shingles at your house and you start to get a leak, it's hard to find where it is. And, once the one roof starts going, within a few years, you have a bunch of leaks.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
All the
then,
perimeters peaked.
Yeah,
So, like, I always get concerned because they say you shouldn't have flat roof, a flat roof, which
yeah,
is
so
all
all,
of F.
the perimeter right here, you can see, this is all sloped, so it is peaked, right? And you can see, if you look at it closely, of the different vintage, there's one here, and then another vintage
So
here.
it's like page
And
one, right?
It is page one.
Would there be an issue with F being flat, no drainage, no?
Well, so I do a lot of I do mostly low slope roofing, flat roofs. Roofs are really never, we always, we call it low slope because you always have to have some sort of drainage in it. And, but they are low slope roofs. Low slope roofs are more tricky and can leak more often. Usually there's a lower warranty. But again, I think looking at what we've looked at so far, the existing conditions, of the two different types of roofs. So you have the white in the center here as low sloped, and then you have this square here is also low sloped, and this square here, but it's a different type of low slope roof. So they can be problematic for sure.
so then my other question is, with that metal being over the top of their floor, are we gonna get a lot of noise from a metal roof? when
That's a great
it's
question.
Raining and whatever else?
So your attic is insulated, right? So there's a barrier there, and then that sloped area, the slope deck is wood, okay? And above the wood deck, there would be a self-adhered base sheet down, and then the metal panel, but there can be some noise. But because of all those barriers, it's probably not gonna be that bad.
the attic's pretty big.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really,
yeah, it's
the
huge.
noise factor is a
Crazy.
bigger concern for residential at home, because you're sleeping there,
Right,
right?
I'm just
That's a good point.
curious, though, yeah.
All the wood part of the roof was all intact, even the low slope areas, there's no foreseeable.
Well, that's a great question, and a lot of that, depending upon how everything's procured, when the tear off occurs, there's always like a square foot budget or a square foot number. So if there is any damaged decking, wood decking, it gets replaced during the re-roof process.
And so
That
that's,
would be a change order.
Well, yeah, or there may be an allowance depending upon how it's.
But
set
there's
up.
been no
we do,
core
yeah.
samples or anything like that, you walked out there and nothing felt squishy.
Yeah, so it depends on the area, so the area in the center is very difficult, because that's the auditorium, and it's all covered, right?
Auditorium and gym.
Yeah, and based on what I felt there, it actually felt really good. But as far as the shingles, the really only way to tell, you can even do an examination in the, like a thorough examination in the attic, you really need to see both sides of it. So the tear off is when that occurs. Carol for the shingles.
And what you're doing in the F section is just putting something on top of what's already there?
Yeah, so it's actually, the process has really gotten much better, and that's why the warranties have really grown, because it really works well. So it's a polyurea or urethane coating system, right? And there's a base coat, after you prep the whole entire roof in terms of clean it, make sure it's clean, dry, replace any wet insulation that's identified through a thermal scan, which usually it's maybe 5 or 10% at most. Once that's done, the base coat that goes down goes in a polyester fabric, so you're actually building a roof system on top of the existing that's bonding to the current system. And then once that cures, there's a top coat that goes in, so it's multiple coats. And fabric, that's very strong.
And when were these pictures taken? A while ago? I guess 'cause the front is different.
I think the date's on it. An outside vendor that
I
does it.
can't see that small one.
2014.
A while ago.
Eagle View.
Wow, that's crazy, that is old. 'Cause
Yeah.
The report was ordered in 5/11/22. So that's probably the latest, I guess,
From Google?
yeah, depending on where they pull their data
It's
from.
probably the same roof, I mean,
Oh, yeah, we have,
Oh, yeah.
It hasn't
probably haven't
changed,
done anything
yeah.
since then, yeah.
I could just tell by the front that it was a while ago.
Oh, yeah, you can see the,
Oh,
Yeah.
And there's also been talk a little bit about the trailer. The trailer, I call it a trailer. You did not call it a trailer?
No, we don't.
no, module.
I'm sorry. I realize I forgot to
If
now.
you call it a trailer at your own peril.
So, some issues up there, but I think the school has more issues to really consider.
Yeah, I mean, my main concern is really, I mean, obviously preserving the auditorium with all the money we just spent.
Yeah.
So there is one spot on the auditorium ceiling that we can actually reach. It's at the very top that actually has some paint coming off. So that's one of the reasons why I really wanna start talking about this, because I feel like it's gonna be something we have to do within the next year or two. I mean, I really don't wanna push it, because the more we let this go, the worse it's gonna get. And I don't want to ruin that auditorium. Plus, like I said, we just got water in the gym on Monday,
Mhm.
and it was downpouring. But,
Could
I mean,
mold grow? Just curious if you do leave it.
It's wet.
yeah, I mean, if it stays wet, but with the new systems that we put in, it circulates the air pretty quick, and so, and it dehumidifies it.
So Mike, I think a contractor gave you a quote to do actually roof repairs
So
on the
Justin-
shingle and the low slope roof areas,
So,
right?
yeah, so Justin went out to go get quotes on just the repair work that needs to be done. And it's over 40,000 that we have to get done, like now. So, you know, that's the reason why we're kind of talking about this now, because instead of spending 40,000, we want to start seeing like, how much does it cost? Because, I mean, we keep on spending about 30 to 40,000 each year. But the last quote that we got to keep on going with the repairs that need to be done is another 40. And so at what point are we gonna say, hey, let's look into a new roof system, you know? So that's the reason why I worked with Jim over at Seeger. We put in a good roof system over there. That's why I was asking about our options, being the fact that we're so close to the water. I mean, shingle roofs, I mean,
Good elementary.
yeah, so I don't see the shingles being held up really well here because of the height of our school with the wind that we get here. And
No,
like I said, the ridge
we
cap
did an
comes off.
addition at Spring Lake High School. We re-roofed the school, put the addition on, metal wall panels, standing seam roof panels. That's what we're talking about. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which
Yeah,
one
that
is
was
it?
one.
Spring Lake Heights.
Spring Lake
That was
Heights.
just done 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
On the right-hand side.
So you can get a good visual of it, you know.
Okay, that's good. I mean, it's a drive right down the road. Next time I go there, I'll take a look, too.
There was a study done about solar too, right? Before I think I got here, was it?
No, it's geothermal.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Because, so what I'm thinking about too, because we have the new HVAC systems, which we didn't have prior to, obviously our electricity bills are gonna be going up a little bit. So Justin was thinking about also starting to do an energy audit, which we could do every couple of years. So this is something that we're thinking about doing, not that we're gonna put on solar panels onto our roof, but is that something that, I mean, with the shingle roof, you have to penetrate that, right? And what about this metal?
That's a great question. So with your shingle roofs, because of the high amount of slope, you would need to penetrate it to actually secure it. I'm not a solar guy, but
Yeah.
that's the way it's done. So, you know, the inside here, which is low slope, you don't have to do with penetration. You could do a rooftop mounting system,
Okay.
but it's not gonna give you much sun. I don't think a solar company would even consider that. But if you did do metal versus a shingle, one thing that's nice is it's very, there's a nice system for metal that actually, it clamps and doesn't penetrate the standing seams, and it's a bar that runs across, and then the metal panels, or I'm sorry, the solar panels mount to that bar system. So there's no penetrations. You know, that's what you wanna get away from.
Right.
And if that's something you guys are considering, you need to start talking about that before you do anything with the roof.
I was gonna say,
Oh, yeah.
it's chicken and the egg.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta know what
exactly.
your roof is
Yeah.
gonna look like before you, or if you're gonna do solar. Cause after you put a new roof on, it'd be silly to, you know, put holes in it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And there's a lot within the state. You could do like a state energy audit.
I was
You
gonna
could
say,
go
have
right
you
to a
looked
solar
into
company.
ESIP?
So,
Yeah.
they did one a couple years ago, I think it was past this, like, I think it's supposed to be every, was it 5 years or something like that? So I think it was done prior to that, so we're able to start doing it now. I think that's the only way we could really probably
Yeah.
get anything, because I think we did all the lights and the valves or whatever, so.
And these are all still fluorescent, right? Or these LED?
I think they did everything as LED, but I would have to ask Justin, cause he would know more.
The cost savings from the electric you could put back into to pay for your solar, that's what we're doing
Correct,
currently.
that's the whole
Yeah.
point of this.
So a lot of companies do solar for free if you just give them a percentage of your profits month to month.
Yeah, so in something like this, I'm not a solar guy. You know, that's something where I could probably put you in touch with somebody, or you talk to, an engineer and architect that I could put you in touch with over that. But probably not the whole roof system, but certainly a portion. And then it might throw off some monthly gain.
I hear residential, so I was just wondering if
Yeah.
there's something
Yeah,
comparable.
I looked into the residential side just on my own personal house. I wasn't a fan of that, to be honest, because it was more of a, like a lease where you're locking in a dollar amount per kilowatt that they're gonna generate for you. But you don't know if the rate of, or the cost of the kilowatt's gonna go down or up. And so they lock you in, plus then they also lock you in with increases each year. So I just looked at it so in depth because I'm a finance guy. I didn't like locking myself in. And then because of also the stuff that I do, I know a lot of people did solar, and then where they paid it for them, they just paid it as a loan. You could, with the energy savings and the SREGs that you sell back, you could pay off like a $20,000 system in 5 years versus getting one for a 20-year lease that you're still paying the company. That's the reason why the solar companies push so much, not that I'm knocking at them, but that's the reason why they push so much is because they're making a lot of money on that, so.
And then by the
I
time
just personally wasn't
By the
not a
time your
fan.
lease is up, the panels aren't any good anymore.
Correct.
You know, so they're all
And that's the side,
enough
like,
energy.
I wouldn't wanna do it that here unless we got some really savings,
Yeah, but shingles,
yeah. going back to
slope
the
shingles
roof,
with
yeah.
solar, not a fan.
Yeah.
Coming from a roofing
No, I
manufacturer,
agree.
you know?
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to know, because if we go with a shingle roof, so we would have to do penetration if we wanted to do some type of solar system. Not saying that this was a conversation we were having before.
Yeah, and then,
Right.
when you go to re-roof, cause now I think the panels are probably outlasting shingles. So if you go to re-roof, if you need to re-roof the shingles, you have to pull it all off. And when you start moving that stuff around when it's 20 years old or 18 years old, it falls apart. And nobody wants to own it, so it's impossible to do. So it's a lot of things to think about, but again, that's not my field.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, great.
Thanks, John.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
And we have the superintendent's report.
All right, so we're looking forward to a great start to the 2022-2023 school year. We've made some extensive efforts and strides in all areas, looking forward to sharing with our community this fall. We had a wonderful ESY and Summer Academy program, followed by Enrichment Week, which was really great. The kids really enjoyed it. Any kids that came really had a blast. Whether they went fishing, were part of the theater program, dance, visual arts, a lot of really fun activities for kids that got them back in the building and got them excited about being here. So it was really nice to make that happen. So great. Staff training over the summer, the PD event that we went to was outstanding. So we're kind of turnkeying what we've learned there to bring it and build the school culture here that we've been wanting. And so we're gonna start our year out at Taylor Pavilion on September 1st at 8 o'clock. And the PTO is generous enough to offer breakfast, to support the breakfast for us. So we'll have a breakfast there, and then we'll have a kickoff that includes me, the teachers that went, the administrative team, our coaches. So it's really gonna be an exciting start to the school year. Right on the beach, you know, we're in Belmar, let's take advantage of it. So it's really nice that the town was able to give us Taylor Pavilion to do that. And so we did make a couple of changes. We're gonna be moving to trimester grades for this upcoming school year. Quarter grades don't offer, in my opinion, as much time to accumulate as many grades to really give you an average. The longer you're in a class, the better chances you're gonna have of seeing what the kid's skills and abilities are. And the more chance a student has to make up ground if they need to, right? And so.
Can I interrupt you? Instead of 4 marking periods, you'll have 3 trimesters.
Correct. And so what happens is that instead of having, let's say, 3 tests, the student might have 4 or 5 tests that kind of help average into their score, giving them, if they had a bad day or something, gives them an opportunity to make it back.
Are you revamping your grading policy based on that with minimum requirements for numbers
Yes,
of assessments?
so we are creating minimum requirements that say that too, like, hey, we need so many test grades in your grade book for a trimester because it's not a quarter anymore, so we're gonna extend that. So there
for
is.
validity and reliability of
Mhm.
those assessments, one test doesn't make any sense with the weighting that they do.
Right. So that's part of the discussion has been, what are our minimums? What's the expectation? And then what's the communication expectation too? Because once your grade comes out, it's got a lot of weight. It's 1/3 instead of 1/4 of the year. So it's really important that communication happens when students are struggling. And teachers will know a little, like sometimes when you get into a quarter, you're 3/4 through the quarter, now you're realizing, hey, this student was doing okay, but now it's just plummeting. And there's very little time to make up and time to fix. But with a trimester, it does offer you a little more time.
You know, my son will think school's shortened now.
Right.
We won't tell him.
Only 3 report cards,
Yeah,
like.
What about specials? Because usually they're 2 and 2.
So this is what's gonna happen with specials, is they're gonna be rotated trimester on a trimester rotation. So technology is gonna happen all year because we feel like that's a really important piece to have all year long. Our gym is gonna happen all year long as well. What's gonna change in that rotation is you're gonna have art for a trimester, you're gonna have Spanish for a trimester, and you'll have music for a trimester. So now you're getting a trimester's grades. The teachers are gonna be able to focus in on projects that might be more in depth because they see these students more often, and they'll have less materials to have to shuffle, but then get a better quality of instruction. Because they're not seeing half the school, they're seeing 1/3 of the school at once, but they see the next 1/3 and then the next 1/3. They just see them a little more often now than they had before.
Do any other local schools do trimesters?
I've done trimesters before in my last district, and I found it to be really, really helpful. Not only does it cut down, not only is there more validity to the grade when the student gets it, and more time for them to make it up, it offers the teachers less times when you're up against the marking period crunch, right? And so what happens there is, you've got more time to create more lessons that may have more power and, do different types of assessments, whether they're test grades, quiz grades, classroom grades. The consistency's there. And then the parents aren't saying, well, the marking period's over, I haven't checked the grade book. You only gotta check it a few times a year. We've taking a look at the parent portals, not just here, but in general in education. There's a large percentage of people that don't check their kids' grades, and so when they're trimesterized, I think it's, no, I'm not looking at anybody in this room, I promise you.
Every day.
I don't even,
She may need an
to be
intervention.
honest, I didn't look at that data specifically here, but that's been a trend in education in general. Once we go to electronic grades, people aren't looking at the report cards as often. And so if we make them happen less often and are more special, there's more chance that more people will look at them.
There's still progress reporting in between.
Yeah, we'll ask teachers to make sure that we're keeping up with students, especially those who struggle, right? If you're struggling, I want the parents to know and say, hey, let's round the horses, look, everybody get over here and let's figure this out together. Because we still have time to make something happen and make a change.
Any negatives that you've seen from it?
Not that I've seen. You know, it does give us more time, especially considering, you know, you're getting into conferences, right? And by the time we get into conferences in November, the market period is over.
Right.
You know, you can't do anything.
It
So
probably
now
really helps in the beginning of the year and the end
Right,
of the
so-
year. Definitely the beginning.
And with our calendar change and with our, this kind of leads me into one of the other pieces. When we're talking about negotiations, we were talking about getting a night conference, which we now have. We're gonna have a night conference option. Parents can come during the day, we'll have a night offer as well. And then there'll still be time before the end of the trimester between that conference and the end of the trimester. So that first trimester, probably the most important for setting the standard of what the rest of the school year is gonna be, is we're gonna have time for students, parents, teachers to get kids caught up if they fall behind.
Is this something the teachers first week of school will tell the students about to kind of bring them up to speed on it rather than them just going, or
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it the parents' responsibility?
No, we'll be communicating that with students as well. And that'll be an important part, especially for our older students who really should have some ownership of their grades. We want all students to have ownership of their grades, but first graders only have ownership for this week's worth of grades and how they feel like they've gotten it or didn't get it, you know, like, but for our 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, they really should know how they're doing. You know, it's part of their responsibility, and we know that in educational research, kids knowing how they're doing and assessing their own ability in a class is a really important tool for high levels of growth, for that level of ownership. So I think it's something that works on all sides. It's a win-win for everybody, in my opinion. And in my experience, I've seen this work really well.
Will the same be applied to special needs students?
Mhm.
Same reporting three
Yep.
times?
And if there's a requirement in their IEP for more frequent reporting, because it's possible, then that more frequent reporting will happen when necessary.
Yeah.
Every IEP is unique, and sometimes reporting is different for different
Yeah, if they
students.
get grades, it'll be as per the district grading policy, otherwise it's just reporting goals, right?
Correct.
Through your IEP.
So they'll sometimes get a report card, and they also get goals that come along with it.
Has the minimum number of assessments been established?
Yeah, so we haven't established it, we've been having a discussion about what are we expecting. So me and Mrs. Wilton were talking about it this week, and we have a meeting set for Tuesday to discuss and lay out, okay, these are minimums. That doesn't mean you can't have 6 test grades, and some of those tests may be
Will that come
performance.
through as a
performance,
policy or a regulation?
Right.
I would assume that would have to come from.
Right, and so that's part of what we wanna change, is we wanna make sure
So
that.
the minimums are gonna be like a number, or is it gonna be like number by category or percentages?
Number
or-
by category, and there's a percentage for each category.
Right,
And then the amount of assessments that's expected per category. So if a
Right.
test category, you're gonna
Right.
expect to have 6 test grades in for the trimester. Now, they don't have to be all chapter unit tests. They
Right,
could be
of course.
performance assessments, right?
Right, so you're
That
gonna call
count
them
as-
tests, or like a category gonna be tests, or is it gonna be like a
Quizzes.
summative? This is like,
They have to work on that.
okay.
Yeah,
no
so you're
brainer.
This
still
is
working on
educator
it.
speak.
Yeah, what do you mean by summative? You mean like a midterm grade or
Well, you
unit
can, you
grade?
can call something a test and it not be a test.
Right,
But-
traditionally,
but-
that's what I
right.
mean, like, you'll have
Right,
unit
like
tests.
you can have like an essay test, or you can have a multiple choice test, you
Correct.
talk like traditional,
A performance
right?
assessment could be considered a test.
Right, but if it's like anything that's summative means it's the end of the unit. It's the
Correct.
culminating assessment of the unit.
am of the opinion that a summative unit test, along with, depending on the subject area, a performance piece, let's say a presentation, could also count as a test grade.
But, yeah, we would
Right.
also make that into summative. When you have your discussion, I recommend that you think about just keeping it simple. And
Yes.
keeping it into formative and summative. Because then the teachers can do many different things with it, as well as have different types of summative, like you mentioned.
Got it.
If you start telling them 5 homeworks, 6 tests, 3 quizzes, whatever you said,
Well, I
think-
think it's gotta be reflective of how they put grades into the grade book. If they're
Right.
using 3 categories, tests and quizzes, homework and participation, then we gotta define it based on those 3 categories. So I
Right.
think one is gonna direct the other.
Mhm.
If they're using those 3 categories, you're using formative, summative, there's gonna be a little bit of a miscommunication there. So you gotta
Right.
tell them what you want.
Yeah, so
Right.
formative and summative is kind of like the new vocabulary for student assessment, right? We're used to tests and quizzes, so that's why I said tests and quizzes, because that's probably the way
Right,
that
but-
most of us talk about it.
Well,
But
there's a big difference though.
there is. And formative
So
should be something that
formative
you
is
can.
diagnostic and you like,
Right.
use it as a tool, be like, oh, they're missing a portion, and then you can make it, you do another lesson, and then you test them again, oh, they're ready, and then you do the summative, and they've succeeded, and then you move on, right? So
Correct.
the next unit, so that would be the summative would be a test, what we traditionally have taken as multiple choice tests, or essay tests, or performance task, but it's the end, marks the end, summative.
Right.
But if you keep it summative and formative, even if it's a homework assignment, it could be summative, or something small, or something like hands-on-y, you can still make that
Yeah, it
summative.
all depends on whether you use
Right.
the data from.
It allows the
From the
teachers to make it,
assessment.
right, and allows the teachers to make it very flexible.
I agree. I think if you wanna know my philosophy on education as far as learning is concerned, I think it's about what kids actually know at
Right,
the end.
exactly.
It's not always, everybody doesn't test well, but if they can prove to me at the end, even after, they didn't do well on a quiz, they can prove to me they know that skill, then I'm gonna move their grade up. Because I feel like that represents now their ability.
Right.
Now, that gets a little funny in middle school, so we have to have that discussion with all our middle school teachers about what does that mean for middle school students, because, hey, we're going off to high school, and sometimes when you get a summative score or a quiz grade, that is your quiz grade, there's no moving, there's no nothing else. But this is an institution where I feel like learning is the most important part, and if we know that kids have learned it, that's what their grade should represent, for the most part. Averages do come into play, but there's a way for us to prove that students understand something and give them at least some credit for that understanding. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, now we're going into like some really, this is my wheelhouse. I love this stuff. So, okay, sorry, let's get back on track to the superintendent's report that's going into like a half an hour now. So aftercare was something that was brought up to me, that a parent had brought up and said, hey, is there any way we can get aftercare here at BES? I look back, I know there've been efforts over the last couple of years to consider aftercare. There wasn't enough interest for any vendors who want to run an aftercare program with us. We used to have it pre-COVID. But then once COVID happened, I think what happens is that a lot of people were working from home, they didn't need aftercare anymore. They just go pick up their kids for the 15 minutes, okay, do your homework while I finish up my work, and then that was it. So I think what's happening now is more people are heading back to the office, and then there may be an opportunity, for some aftercare. So the thing is I've spoken with 2 service providers, offered up a survey for K-6 parents to say, hey, who's interested? Share the survey results with those representatives. They're giving me proposals by the end of the week. I said, okay, try and get it to me by Thursday. Oh yeah, we'll get it to you by Thursday. Well, I didn't get it in yet, but I'm hoping to get it in soon. Now, the only problem with that is it's gonna take time, just like anything else, and of course, where we are right now as far as staffing is concerned, as a country, state, whatever you wanna call, it's gonna be very difficult for them to turn staffing around very quickly. There's a few pieces that will hold it up just a little bit, and that's gonna be, they do have to put an application into the state to use the facility. The facility has to be looked at before they'll approve it, and then also, they do have to figure out how to staff it. I have to prove to them, hey, we have enough people interested that are willing to now, after the proposal, sign up for it. If they have enough people sign up, and we're kind of really close to the border of it being possible. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have families who are interested, but then say, I was interested, but not in this. Or this doesn't quite fit what I need. And in order to start a program, I may need to go to they might say, hey, I'll have to go to a 5-day program. I can't start you out at, you pick 4 days or pick 3 days, because then they can't guarantee that they can pay the person who's coming in. So getting this off the ground is gonna be the biggest task over the next couple months. It's not gonna be before the beginning of the school year. But what I'm hoping for is that this is a long-term solution for Belmar, right? That if we can get this up and running, and then there's an opportunity for people to say, hey, can you take my kid for 2 days a week? Can we, they might have more flexibility to move forward. So I'm gonna send a letter out to the community, just to let them know what I just let you know now, which is, I'm getting proposals. We had enough interest to get their interest. Whether we can sustain their interest and it's viable for them, we'll have to see as we step move forward. But I'd like being a family member, a family that uses aftercare personally, being 2 educators in my household, there wasn't a way for us to really make it work unless we had, some kind of aftercare program and help from family and any number of combination of things. So, so we're going to be heading in the right direction, hopefully, with that. And facilities has gone great. Mike and Justin have done an incredible job. The first floor downstairs is ready to go. We've got the garden up and running, the concrete in there, the concrete around the basketball court. There's a lot of updates. If you saw the rubberized covering for the playground outside, it looks beautiful,
good.
seamless. There's no rocks anywhere. It's like right there, so it's really beautiful. So really great job there. We're adjusting our safety turn plan, awaiting guidance from the health authorities before we really get going, because the CDC put their stuff out, Department of Health, we'll see when they kind of get us information.
3 weeks
But-
after school starts.
Yeah, it might be, but the CDC was saying that they're not recommending quarantining for contact tracing for students who are close contacts, which is a relief for many families, just feeling like, hey, my kid didn't get sick, he was home for how many days. And so now it's just another step in that direction. And then our NJSLA on-demand official scores reports are supposed to be out tomorrow. So let's see, because I'd really like to use that data when we open up school to take a look at how our students did and get something we can dig our teeth into. They send preliminary results, but they're unofficial, they're not, you can crunch your own numbers, which I did, but I really want to wait for the official stuff to come out so that I can really dig in. So yeah, that's the nerdy side of it. Any questions on that?
Is that the end of your report?
That's the end of my superintendent's report, the longest one in 6 months.
Okay, so I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Because I know with the high school, free lunches have ended. Is that the
Mhm.
case indeed with the
That's
elementary
true.
school all around?
Throughout the
Okay.
It's throughout the state, yeah.
That's what I
So
thought.
there
Just
was
wanted to
2
make sure.
programs, we run underneath 2 different programs during the summertime. It's the summer food service program.
Mhm.
And then during last year, we were underneath the seamless summer option, the SSO program. Those options now are, the summer food service program is still here, so we're gonna be able to do that every year unless they change it. But the SSO program is no longer allowed to run throughout the year, so.
Okay.
Yep, so students who were considered reduced lunch will get a free lunch though.
Okay.
So
That
free
is
and
the difference.
reduced are
Reduced
both
will be
free.
Okay.
So if you qualify for reduced, you qualify for free, basically.
Are you still doing breakfast?
Yep.
Mhm.
I forgot what my other question was.
You'll remember.
You
At
don't
some
remember?
point. I don't remember.
I need a little while.
I know.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
Same start and stop time?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yep, no
I
problem.
was just curious.
Yep, we're trying to keep, as much as I can, keep the same, I will. Everything that I'm changing and I'm trying to adjust have a lot to do with what we wanted as strategic planning, right? We wanted better academics for our students, we wanted a sense of belonging and pride, and then we also wanted that home-school connection. So any decision I'm making, I'm using that as a filter. Is this helping this strategic plan, yes or no? If it's not, then I just don't move on it, unless it's something that is not important, and it's just something that has to be decided on.
Okay.
But, yep,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay, can I have somebody move to approve the minutes for the June 2022 meeting? Mr. Preston, second. Solomon. Any comments or corrections, questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Zolman?
Yes.
Ms. Shack?
Abstain.
Ms. Herbert?
Abstain.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Okay, personnel items?
All right, personnel items. Unfortunately, we had some resignations from some of our professionals. Some of them moved on to different positions in other school districts. Some of them moved on to other parent positions, and some, just have reservations, so there's a few on there. But we did also have, 4 new people. Part of the issue that we were running into is that when we even had original paraprofessional, interviews, the pay scale when we started was pretty low, for the market. And so what was happening is that people were finding other jobs, and they were, having an issue with, hey, that's not quite what I was hoping for. And so, I communicated with everybody to get a sense of if that was okay. So what is represented here in the salaries of 23,310 is $18 an hour from what the starting was about $15 an hour. That's a 20% increase from our previous salary, and I think a good first step to getting, a closer to, to getting fair pay for our paraprofessionals, which, wasn't really reflected, of the market. Really, if you go to Target, that's what you're making too. And the work that, with students, there's a sense of purpose that comes with working in a school. But I also think that you should be paid fairly too. So luckily everybody that responded agreed, and so that's what you'll see represented
Is that
here.
contractual?
Yeah.
So they're
Or
part of the
revised?
union, but there's no, and I talked to the union as well, and they said, listen, if you're gonna increase the pay of our constituents, our paras, that's fine. We don't have a scale in our.
It's signed
in our-
off on.
Yeah. Yep, but there's no scale in our contract necessarily, but, I wanted to
Is
get
there an
approval.
hourly rate?
I don't know if there's an hourly rate in there, no.
No, it's not.
They do get the
Nothing
same
for paraprofessionals?
protections,
No.
they get the same protections
The only
as
thing that's in there is
the
insurance
union
and time.
members, but
Oh.
their,
What they
but the
receive.
scale and the rate wasn't in there, and so that was something that,
So are they not covered by this contract?
they're covered by the protections of the contract as far as an employee, but
No, I
they-
mean, in the contract and the recognition clause, are they listed? Well, we'll have to find
we'll
out.
have to take a look at that. But what you'll see here is the starting salary, and anybody who didn't take another position that resigned, I called them and said, hey, listen, I was able to move this up as, what I considered a fair amount, and, just to see if they wanted to stay with us, if that was, something that could do it. But-
So I see that we had 4 resign, hired 4, are we still looking for additional paras, or does that cover everything we
We're
need?
very close. We do have a maternity leave that we have to fill, and depending on whether there's a need in one particular grade, it's possible that they might need another one.
Okay.
So, we've been interviewing, but interviews that we had 3 days ago, only one person showed up. Luckily, it was actually a very good candidate, and she's on the list to be approved, Michelle. But the other 3 people just, again, it's an employee's market right now.
Yeah.
If you want a job, you can pick and choose wherever you want and wherever you kind of feel is right for you.
But
And
you
so-
don't make an interview and not show up.
But you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
But that's what we were finding, and people even, we're calling them to confirm, they're like, oh, I can't make it. I'm like, okay, thanks for calling to let us know, like, it's not the world it was,
No.
If I ever did that, my God, I wouldn't hear the end of it. You did what? No, but.
Well, you never know when you might have to come back and look for
Exactly, that's what I
something.
was gonna say.
So what this did for the rest of our paras in number 9 is improve their pay as well, quite significantly. There was one para in there that was making more than that, but we gave her a fair increase as well. Then you got Suzanne Brady, we have a couple of maternity leaves there. Tara Clancy, number 11, she's gonna be replacing Ryan Porter. She's also doing, as you'll see in here, she's getting her master's in counseling, so she'll be doing her field study with us as well. And she's also approved as a sub, so after she's done with her maternity leave position, she can work as a sub. She's getting she's got a full-time graduate degree right now. So this offers a lot of opportunity and flexibility to take her next step. Substitutes, and then you'll see 13, we're approving the substitutes daily rate for $125, which was where we were last year. Once I came on, we recognized, hey, this is a problem, we've gotta increase our substitute pay. We did that, but I just wanted to continue that for this year, starting right from day 1. And then, stipend list for the 2023 school year. We have a new custodian that's joining us, and you'll see the substitutes on the list at the bottom there. That's our staffing for at the moment. We feel pretty ready with what we have to really get the school year started, so. I'm excited, it's been a lot of work, hiring people right now is very difficult, but the increase is
It
better.
is such a wonderful place to work.
It is, I honestly feel like it is, it's just hard to, hard to land.
Okay, I have a motion for the personnel items, please, Ms. Chat. Second, Ms. Herbert, any questions or comments from anybody? Roll call, please.
Ms. Zolak?
Yes.
Ms. Check?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
The operations education items?
Yep, travel professional development for board travel schedule. We have a new school physician, we're looking to approve a new school physician, Dr. Oram. She's works out of Neptune. I met with her, and we, put together a contract. Dr. Miel, was no longer, able to work with us, but, we were able to find Dr. Oram, and she came recommended by parents and board members alike. So I was like, okay, great, and I met with her, she's very nice, seems really knowledgeable, knows her stuff. So I gave her a walk around the building, talked to Michael, we got a contract together, so that would be approval for her. A BCBA that we're sharing with Manasquan, memorandum of agreement between us and the police, and then a speech school, Summit Speech School contract for 2 of our students who require their services.
Somebody move the operations items. Solomon, second. Mr. Preston, any questions or comments? And roll call, please.
Ms. Zolak?
Yes.
Ms. Check?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Okay, finance items.
Alright, so just underneath the finance, we have, just my monthly certification, which is not a resolution. But then underneath one, we just have our remaining bills of June. Yes, we still get bills pretty late. It's amazing. But then we have our July bills of $983,000, and our August bills of $527,000. Then we have the treasurer and secretary's report for the month of June. Our transfers for June and July. And then number 6 is the certification of the board treasurer's report that we do every month for the month of July.
Can someone move the finance items, please? Mrs. Check, second. Ms. Nicolay, any questions from anyone or comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Zolak?
Yes.
Mrs. Check?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Ms. Herbert, do you have a management report?
Yes, I'll give you a summary of the last meeting. They started with, they always do recognition first, so they started with the surf team. The varsity won their 8th consecutive state championship. They're pretty impressive. I mean, they go to California and they compete against like teams from Hawaii and California. And the fact that little old Manasquan, New Jersey has a surf team that can win and do well is really impressive. And JV won its 2nd consecutive state championship. So that was nice to see. Not a lot of kids were there. It was tough to get, I guess, kids at an August meeting to show up for the recognition.
Probably
Yeah,
waves.
I know, that's what I was saying.
Probably waves.
Although
yeah.
Audrey Eagley was there, so she's like the star. They did updates, like presentations about the curriculum. Let me just see if there was anything major. 'Cause I can't remember everything off the top of my head. Some new courses for this year. I'll just list them off real quick. Civic Action and Democracy, Historical Perspective, Research and Debate, Science in the Kitchen, like these are electives. Civil Engineering and Architecture, Principles of Biomedical Science, Human Body Systems, and Conversational Spanish. I think that's pretty much that. Let's see, their action plan. Oh, so I guess, the COVID days are over. They're kind of going to get a little more strict again as far as attendance goes and absences goes and tardiness, like they're counting this and they're penalizing, like if you, so, let me see, like if, for example, 10 days of accumulative discipline, student will be placed on a 5-day probation from any of the above listed activities, so like it's coming into like their sports and stuff, so they're getting a little more serious with, this is not lackadaisical, you don't have to come into school or you can come in an hour late, like come in on time or you're gonna be penalized. They talked about, like they have this project Lead the Way. They talked about, I think they're gonna combine for engineering, I think it's gonna be called like a STEM program in the future. Like they have introduced AP Physics for the first time, and that's about it on that. Oh, and more new courses. Not much different from what I just said. Just wanna make sure I don't miss anything. So I guess they're trying to make an academy of law, government, and public safety. I think originally it was just maybe public safety, so now it's like a little more including law and government, which is good. I mean, I think that they really wanna compete with other high schools that possibly the sending districts could send to. And they're also looking into the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. So that's interesting too. And then the update with construction. They had the field house. I don't know if anybody's been by there.
Excuse me, where's the bathroom?
The bathroom here is.
What's the closest one?
I don't know, that's what I'm trying to look for.
You'd have to go out this hallway, make a right, go over the end of the hallway in the corner.
Yeah.
I'll pass this around so you guys can see like the update for the field house, but it's pretty much done and like they have the turf down. It looks really nice. And they're gonna be like renting it out. I'll pass it around. When the school isn't using it, it's gonna be available to be rented, and there's a whole other space for other activities in addition to that big space.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's really cool.
I heard something.
It's where the softball field used to be. So it's like behind the school,
It's right behind the school.
on
by the
Atlantic
road.
Avenue,
Cause I know where like the lacrosse and soccer field are, like that one by the road.
by North Main Street.
Yeah.
This is on Atlantic Avenue,
Not by the
closer to
turf.
school.
It's not by the turf.
Yeah.
So I have a question, cause I heard a rumor the other day that they are going to allow the public to use the, like, weights room in there. You hear anything about that?
Well, yeah, I think that if they're really trying to use, like, make it a community use, I mean, they went out, to get support for this building, so they want the community to be able to use it too.
So my question then therein lies, is it just gonna be Mouseton residents that are allowed to use it?
I don't know the answer to that question.
That's why
Because
you're a representative.
Yeah.
Ask
I
her.
remember when they were
Yeah.
pitching it though, I remember when we all went to help pitch it, a couple years ago, and they were pitching it to Mouseton residents.
Right, oh, of course, I
So,
mean, they need to buy in for the
Yeah.
money
Right.
for it, but
I-
I'm curious
But
if
we
you
do
could
pay
find that
for
out.
it too.
I'm not sure about the weight room.
It's part of our tuition.
Yeah.
that we pay, so.
I know like renting the space kind of thing is for basically anybody, but they
Right.
have to be approved.
Right.
There's a process to apply and
Sure,
everything.
yep.
Preserve this.
I'll have to find out about the weight room, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
One more thing, so I kind of found this interesting, they are investing in this, program that monitors all the kids' laptops. So it's like artificial intelligence.
What's it called? Do we have it?
We have a program that does that.
No,
Yeah.
because I'm at another board meeting, they said the same thing, and then the superintendent said, we already have had that for 4 years.
Yeah, we do have that. It's called something different than what I had in my last district, but it does keep an eye on target words, words in emails.
Yeah.
If there's searches that the kids do on our devices that are problematic, whether they be inappropriate or whether they be, something that is really concerning about their safety, it actually will filter it, decide whether it's high priority or not,
And send a warning.
and then send a warning if necessary.
Is this line-wise?
I don't know if we use, I don't think we use LineWise,
I
but there's a
don't remember
few
that.
companies.
I don't think that we
I don't think
use
it's
that.
LineWise.
It sounds very similar.
Yeah.
It does the keystrokes, it does like whatever's on the screen.
Yeah.
It can see, but then if something's triggered, it goes to a human moderator who can intervene. I think they're selling it as, safety, you know, cause they're worried about certain, kids and the
Absolutely.
way the world is now,
And that works both, while in the school and while at home?
all the time.
If they're on a school device, yes.
Okay.
And if they're on a school account, on a home device. So if I log into my school account to do my work on my home computer, but it's my Google from school, and I search something, I used to get, I would get notifications as principal and have to make some phone calls where I'm like, hey, and they're like, how do you know what my kid's on? I'm like, they were on their home computer. I was like,
Yeah, but
is
if
there an
there's-
invasion of privacy thing? I'm like, they're on their school
But
Google
it was
account.
mom taking the kid's Chromebook and looking at stuff, and you're like, Mom.
Mom, I wasn't gonna mention that. That's what she did.
Are they still going to shut down at 10 p.m.
Here, in
the
Belmar?
laptops?
For elementary
The
school.
Chromebooks.
Yeah, for elementary school.
I was thinking here.
Yeah, we'll talk to Kevin about,
Yeah.
do we extend it for?
Sometimes they forget.
It's
that,
hard
like,
for
trying
the
to
older
get it
kids,
done.
especially when they have activities or stuff and
Right.
they're forgetting
They
something.
would shut it down, I didn't know.
Yeah, their
that.
Chromebook
Yeah.
shut down.
So
and
let me
talk to
any
Kevin to
time
see if it's
and-
possible
Until
for
when?
us to say,
Till the next morning.
for
When?
a
I
particular,
don't even know.
a particular grade levels, like, could we push
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade to 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Because we do want them to get sleep too. Like, there's a thing, like,
I was
it's,
just gonna say, I never had a problem with this, cause my kids had to go to bed early.
right, but at the same, but,
I never had a
listen,
problem because my kids don't do their homework.
but homework, you know,
And
homework.
going
No,
back
but
to the look at
Or
the
maybe
search
they
word.
can- and it's
11.
frustrating when
Maybe
it's
we can
like
let
10
them
o'clock
know.
and they're in the middle of something else and their Chromebook shuts down, they're like, now, like, I can't finish it, now my teacher's gonna be so upset with me that I didn't finish my
I'm
homework.
gonna ask-
Just look something up.
I'm gonna ask Kevin to see if, especially for our older students, because we're gonna get some night owls, you know,
Yeah.
that kinda
I mean, I see
coming
both
into
sides.
7th
Yeah.
and 8th grade.
Well, 10's a little early.
Can
Maybe
we move
11
up?
or midnight.
I feel like my kids don't do know that eat.
For like an 8th grader.
Yeah, for an 8th grader.
I
From
mean,
10 to 11, 11:30.
You know, they'll-
Yeah, no.
You know, let's take a look at those options,
It's
because,
better to do this so they,
You know?
I have, the kids are in high school, they're out all night.
Because I believe that, and if it shuts down, they can log in through a home computer, correct?
they could.
No.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
to the Google account.
No, they lost.
Oh, it's automatically
their
Google,
password
not
and
just the
their name.
Chrome.
What I'm gonna do is I'm
Right.
gonna ask
Yeah,
Kevin,
yeah.
what kind of,
That's what I was
I've
thinking,
tried.
like, how do they control?
Yeah.
They have to go into something else.
yeah,
Cause I feel
yeah.
like my kids were like.
They'd
that.
have to go into like their own personal account
Okay.
to then continue, I
Or
guess.
I mean, like Kevin McDonald put in his password.
Yeah, so let me see what we can do. Maybe there's something we can do for our, especially our middle school age 7th and 8th graders.
Yeah.
5th and 6th, you know, at a certain point, it's kind of like, all right, man, the homework's not that important. You're gonna, if you didn't get it done by now,
Yeah.
you're gonna survive it.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
rubber
So
starts.
when does it go
I'm
on?
not just yelling at the start.
I'm sure it goes on at 6 in the morning. I'll ask him.
Alright, Rebecca, what else you have?
Oh, just one more thing about that product. There's like a companion product that teachers can see. I was like telling my kids, teachers can see what you're looking at on your computer when you're in the classroom
Yes.
We have.
without
Yeah.
walking around and looking.
Go for it.
We
You
have
don't even have to pay for it, it's free, you can like download it as an app.
Yeah.
It's
I
wonderful.
forget what it's called, but it's scary, I think it's scary. It's a little freaky.
Well, you know what it is that kids can't do like they're really good at the keystroke. Unlike this, you come and like click, click.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There goes the window.
Oh, they're
Tab,
savvy.
You know,
tab.
they don't
There's
even.
a button
tab.
to bring the tab up.
Yeah, they could just
And
just
when you
kind of
do
do
it,
like
they think
this,
you're all
like, hey,
tight.
what's up? I was just looking at some stuff on Amazon I wanted to buy. You know,
Yeah, they're
but
like shopping. And they can limit like their internet access.
it's like electronic eyes behind your head kind of
Yeah.
scenario. So there's a lot of these controls lately in the last few years, and they've been really helpful to resolve issues and to kind of curb students being distracted in class and doing things they shouldn't. Whether it's the teacher that catches them or it gets them to an administrator saying, hey, these are not photos that you should be watching.
Right.
Middle school age kids, it kind of gets there.
Rebecca, has there been any more discussion about, extracurricular activities for homeschool kids?
No, that topic did not come up. it's come up numerous times by parents in the audience, but it's never been answered or addressed yet. You should go to a meeting and talk about it.
Tutoring for homeschool students?
No extracurricular activities, so any kids that are homeschooled cannot participate in soccer or any sports or anything like that.
Okay.
But a lot of the schools in the area do still allow the kids to participate in soccer or football or whatever sport. So if you're homeschooled, you can't participate. Which kind of stuff?
Yeah. I'm shocked it's legal.
Yeah.
Sexual liability. Okay. Is that
That's
kind of
it.
report? I forgot where we were now.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not used to this at all. Anyhow, okay, correspondence.
So we received 2 letters, one from a parent and then one from a community member, just raising their concerns about a statement of one of our individual board members. And
I wonder how.
Okay, old business? Don't we have to do district and superintendent goals? And will we be doing this?
For next meeting.
Okay.
I wanna get I wanna make sure we have the NJSA data, and then I can appropriately kind of set some goals with that kind of data. But I've got drafts going, I just wanna take a look at data, make sure I can use that.
Do you know for this year, just curious if they can go to their locker in between classes, or is it going to be in the backpack again?
Oh, well, it'll depend on their schedule, right? Depending on when they have lunch, if they've got lunch before their 2 periods or 1 period. So I'll talk to Wilton and she'll be able to offer more. We've been working on the schedule.
Just curious.
But in many cases, they'll either have 2 classes before lunch and after, and in between specials in their current class. So
Okay.
they should be at a time period and opportunity for something.
Yeah, I know Mills wanted to away backpacks. That kids
Well,
can't
I mean,
carry
last year they
backpacks
had
around.
backpacks all the time because they didn't have lockers. So now that we have lockers back, we'll just have to be.
Well, they
That
can,
was-
they
that was
can't,
before
they can't
COVID.
carry, yeah, they can't carry their backpacks from class to
In
class.
between
Oh,
the
okay.
school day.
It's really
It's a,
inconvenient.
it's inconvenient, it's a safety issue, isn't it? Yeah. I do remember what my other question was. How was your, professional outing?
It was great, and that was part of the what I talked about earlier with the professional development. I didn't say outing or trip.
Oh,
But,
sorry.
no, you're right. I probably should have been a little more specific about it. But yeah, that's what I was talking about. We have a team now that's gonna help open the school year, not just with me. Because what we know is that I have authority as superintendent, and Sarah has authority as principal, and Lauren in her position. But what we don't have often as much of is influence. Peers have more influence on each other than I have. You know, my authority only goes so far, but influencing ourselves as board members or peers or neighbors or whatever usually goes a lot further. And so that's why I really needed that team of educators to be part of the team, so that this becomes more systematic and not a top-down strategy, but a team and cooperative effort. And so they were all very excited about the opportunity, and they all said this is the best professional development I've ever been on in my life. And it's not because it's an overnight, it's because the people that were in front of us, showing us the research, telling us what we can do to improve our school, were experts. And it's a real, really eye-opening experience, and they all felt that way. I feel genuinely, not just like, all right, Albert, it was fine. They really felt like, I'm on board, what can I do to help? And so that's part of what they're gonna be doing on the 1st at the pavilion, is helping lead the way, along with, the admin staff.
There's the 3 of you that went, and then like 5 teachers was in
Yeah, 5, so we have the instructional coach for math and ELA, and then 3 other teachers. And then what I'd like to do, if it's possible, is do 1 more group next year, to really cement, hey, we've got a center nucleus of people
Yeah,
that
it's
really
helping
got
now.
it. Yeah,
It's gonna
no,
be in
that's the
June.
thing,
That
and,
was
I'm
bad
hoping that we can make that happen.
Awful.
So I might be planting the seed right now to say, hey, I'd like to do this 1 more time, to really get the ball rolling before we get to the point where our ESSER funds are no longer available for this kind of thing. The funds that have been available through the pandemic to boost kids, the professional development in the building and get kids where they should be, may not be around for much longer. And I prefer that it didn't come, for something like this.
throughout
Let's use the
the-
funds that we have.
Throughout the year, how are you gonna implement? Are you gonna do faculty meetings? Is it gonna be?
So it's gonna be a
Workshops
combination of, our opening days, our faculty meeting time is gonna be mostly professional development. Nobody wants to hear me speak for 45 minutes, so we'd rather send out a video with an agenda on the things that we have to do, which I did last year, a 5-minute video. And that has all the checklist stuff that you normally do at faculty meeting. Nobody needs to see that for 45 minutes. Let's spend the rest of the time working on professional development. We're also embedding it into the schedule. We're gonna have this collaboration time every week for every grade level.
PLC.
It's GLT, it's gonna be, or BLT, it's gonna be Belmar Learning Teams.
Nice.
We thought that was a better acronym.
I like it.
Something like that, though.
Yeah, or you just use the name instead of the letter. It's a wild
Right.
idea. I know.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work in
That's
education.
I know in education.
But
you don't
we
like
love
that.
acronyms.
I know.
And who doesn't like a BLT sandwich? So I was like, this is it, we got it. So,
That's great.
so yeah, that's what we're gonna have on a
There's
weekly,
Right.
and then our grade level and what would have been faculty meetings will also be that, but those are gonna be more professional development based. We're taking a look at data, we're taking a look at collaboration, setting norms, formative assessment, summative assessment, what do those mean? How do we create common ones? How do we decide what's most important? And assess that, and not everything.
Great, nice. I
You
wasn't,
asked one more question.
I
I'm gonna
know,
kill
I
you.
am gonna ask one more
Oh
question, cause I
my
wasn't at the last
God.
meeting, and I apologize. Did
Does this
we,
fall under old business?
yeah, did we approve a school calendar last meeting?
Oh, a while
It was a
ago.
few meetings back.
Yeah.
It was?
Mhm.
Any meetings?
I'm sorry.
Any other old business? Any new business?
The only thing that we may have to discuss is school boards is coming up in October. I wasn't sure if anybody was interested in going to school boards,
I am
October.
going.
You're going, right? I wasn't sure if anybody else is going. It's from October 24th to the 26th. Professional
person this year?
What's that?
It is in
It's in person in Atlantic City.
The
Convention Center.
majority of the workshop, events and sessions and training is on Tuesday and Wednesday. They really have some good things, presentations.
What is it again?
October 24th to the 26th.
But really the 25th and 26th are the 2 days
Yeah, so 25, 26.
that are there are some things, like if anybody needs mandated training, I think they give that on Monday. But most of the sessions are Tuesday and Wednesday.
So the reason why we're bringing it up too is because do we wanna go in as the group price, which is $2,200, which we generally do that here in Belmar because it allows for up to 25 registrations, which, it fall with me, Jimmy, Sarah, a couple of other teachers that have been going, Jerry, yep. Or the individual price is $550. So you have 4 people, same
You
price.
might as well go, yeah.
So that's the reason why I kind of want to bring it up now, but we also want to see if anybody's interested in going because we're probably late, honestly, at this point. So it's
And you don't obviously have to go for both days. There's an
You
agenda that's
register to
posted.
go, and you register for the individual classes you wanna take?
No, you just
Just show up.
Actually, no, it depends what it is. If once you register and you see the agenda, if there's something you're interested in, some of them are open to everybody, some are action labs, so they have a limit of people, so it's nothing that you have to pay for, you just sign up where there are ones that have limits, but other than that, a lot of things are for everything.
Where do you go to find out these details?
New Jersey School Board's workshop,
I'll send you.
website,
I'll send you a link.
but the agenda's not up here,
Okay.
even
They
though it's
just-
on October, they need to put it.
Yeah, they just kind of have a video showing you like, hey, we're opening the doors to Atlantic City Convention Center. It's going to be really great. Hope you come, and we'll, I guess, figure out what it's going to be when we get there.
And that'll fulfill all our requirements that we usually
No,
have been doing, no.
You have to, they do have some of that there.
Oh, okay.
So, you have to look specifically for, I think that most of that is probably taking place on Monday.
Okay.
Like the, training
Yeah,
1,
go
2,
1, 2,
3,
3,
whatever.
right,
it
yeah.
is. And I think they're actually even said that, like, for those of us who are running or up for reelection, when you have to do the training after, I think they said they're letting you do it in advance or something.
Oh,
Really? I
Like,
don't
so-
know, I saw something
So
like that,
once
that's
you
weird.
get reelected in, you always have to take the legal, the governance for it.
Yes, even I have to take the label.
Yes, so every single time you get reelected, you always have to take that.
But I
didn't
thought
hear
I
that.
read something, I'm gonna look, but
Okay.
it's interesting.
So I'll tell you, I have an interest in going, I just have to look at my calendar. Yeah, I think that when I went a few years ago
And
was
I
very
mean, we
I
could
think-
register everybody
Yeah,
underneath the
the
group.
registration,
so.
and then it's only if you're gonna be there more than one day, whether you need to get a room, 'cause
Room,
there's a convention rate.
I'd probably not be able to go.
Well, just if
Well,
there is
what
anybody
this-
that would wanna go out, go there,
What are
and
the dates again? October?
so
The
it's
24th
Monday,
to the
October
26th.
24th through the Wednesday, October 26th.
So at least
And-
this will,
And just heads up, we do have a board meeting on the 27th, so.
so that's a lot in a row there, but.
But we shouldn't wait for that if anybody is
Yeah,
going,
if anybody-
is definitely going and needs to stay over, because it'll be too late to.
Yeah,
Get a
I know the,
Yeah, we had a hard
I know
time
the
getting
one
rooms a couple
hotel's
years
already
ago.
done. Hotels.
I looked yesterday,
They have a deadline for that, I think.
yeah, I looked yesterday for those nights and it didn't seem
Yeah,
too
you
bad.
go down for a day and you just go
Yeah, it's
at,
someplace
to
really
the.
No, it's not gonna be in the hotel that's right next to the convention.
It's the convention
There's
center,
shuttles,
The-
free
the
shuttles that
jitney
go
and all
between,
that stuff.
yeah. No, but actually, you don't even have to pay for this, it's part of the
Oh, yeah?
workshop. If you're in a workshop hotel, they go all around.
They go all
Yeah.
around.
Buses,
Nice.
buses.
That's what
You've
they
never
did.
been?
Yeah.
No?
Oh my goodness.
So, alright, so then we'll move to register for the, we have to make a move for that or just?
Yeah, well, no,
Well, no,
I mean,
I'll just register.
But the workshop hotels, you pay for out of your pocket.
No.
No,
the board can
the
pay
board
now, it
can
used
pay.
to be that they couldn't, but they can pay if we're more than 50 miles,
50
which we
miles.
are,
Mhm.
and,
We're on
I
the
think
cusp.
it's one night or two, is it one or two, I don't know.
I'll have to look at the waiver.
Yeah, there's a
They were
waiver
sent
that
out.
got sent out, so we'll
But
take
that
a look at the
was
waiver, send the
only a
information
brief
out to you.
thing that they wouldn't let you.
And then what we
And then
know
nobody
now is
went,
that
so
we're
then
gonna
they
put in
changed.
for the group. Because there's enough interest for us to put in for the group, we have 4 people go,
Yeah.
it's gonna be equal,
Okay.
so that makes sense.
Perfect.
And, but they do have a negotiated rate that they give for the work.
Yeah, the rate is pretty cheap.
Yeah,
'Cause
$90.
it's-
Okay.
Okay, any other new business, old business, or does anybody wanna go home? We have no closed session, right?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Wait, is there public comments?
Oh, yeah, you're right, I'm so sorry. Okay, at this point, we have comments from the public on any item. I totally forgot.
This is just public comments in general. My first name is Jen. With all the like recent mass school shootings, do you guys have like a plan?
Everybody has this.
Yeah, I don't know, like I'm not up to date with all that stuff, but you never know in this day and age.
We have not only a plan, but we have required drills and things that we
Yep.
have to conduct.
And
So-
I heard that sometimes with repeated drills, it traumatizes the child in some form or another too. I heard that too.
Yeah, I've heard that, I mean, that's some concerns that are raised, I guess you can address how you, I mean, we try to do it in a manner that doesn't do that.
Of course,
But you also have to make sure that people are prepared.
there's never a gotcha here in Belmar Elementary School, I never want anybody to feel like, hey, this could be the real thing. As much notice as we can, if we can give notice for drills, we do. If we cannot, then our teachers know what procedures to follow, and we'll let them know, what they are drills when they.
And state law now requires a statement after a drill to make sure everybody knows it was a
Yeah.
drill and everybody's
Yep.
safe.
So that
And,
goes home.
and especially for the emergency drills, not fire drills, we do send a notice out to families.
And I
And
think
we do have an officer here during school hours.
I think there's supposed to be like a safety team too.
The safety team is going to be instituted, that there's a law that just went into effect that starts for the 23-24 school year. We got clarity on that, originally they thought that it was gonna be for the 22-23, but since it got signed after July 1, I believe it moves into the 23-24 is the clarity we got from the county superintendent. If that changes, which at any point, anything can, we do have a safety team, but we may have to create the team that is designated by that law, which is just a little bit different.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. Then, would anyone like to move to adjourn the meeting? Harper, Nikolai, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.